Everybody, to this week's episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. I am Goose. I am here with Healy. And of course, we're going to bring some news to you guys. We are rolling in closer to the start of baseball and basketball. But before we get into the news, the major breaking news, always remember, follow us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We are the Standing Room Only podcast. We're on YouTube as well. And then we are on, we have social media. We have Instagram. We have Twitter, SR Only Pod. Go ahead, tweet at us. We try to put out as much as we can when it comes to polls and what everybody thinks. We want to get a little bit more interactive now that sports is coming back. We also have our own personal social media accounts. I am iGoose with 4 O's. And then we have Healy.
You follow me at the Healy6 on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, and one thing to note: a lot of people have been giving a lot of love to us when it comes to Spotify and Apple. Subscribing's cool. If it does download the episode, that is a way we are able to see our view count. So if you guys hit that download button, it's much appreciated. That is how we see everything. So pretty much we have news. We have a lot of news.
Oh yeah, baseball back within 24 hours, and it already started. It already really started. Mookie Betts signed the longest, or not the longest. He signed the most lucrative extension in MLB history. Huge deal. I thought Mookie Betts was probably going to hit free agency. He always said he wanted to hit free agency with the Red Sox. He didn't sign the extension because he's like, I want to test it out, see what I can get. He said no to this. He got a great deal, and he took it. So he signed a 12-year, $365 million extension, which beats out Trout's $360 million extension, most in MLB history. His current deal is 13 years, $392 million. So Trout still has more money over him, but oh my goodness. They lock up the 27-year-old until he is 39.
That's going to be the rest of his career. Baseball, that's a realistic time frame. It's a very long contract. I thought the same thing you thought. We talked about Mookie Betts way when we started this podcast, and he ended up getting traded to the Dodgers, and we're like, well, he's gonna pop out this year because, well, for one, he's in the NL. He's with a great ball club, so who knows what he's gonna do. And instead, he's like, well, we have a 60-game season. I'm gonna sign this 300. And you said it came out to 392, which total. Is nuts. We've seen some big deals. Am I surprised that Mookie Betts got a huge deal? I'm not really surprised. He's been consistently a great ball player.
He's the second best player in Major League Baseball right now. And people's
behind. Yep.
People have slept on him last year. He put up a fantastic year last year, and he got discredited already.
Yeah, he started off slow, and I think that's where a lot of people looked at his slow start. And I wouldn't even say it was slow. I mean, he was better than most players. But for a Mookie Betts season, especially the year before, when they had JD Martinez, Mookie Betts, all these guys hitting bombs, and no matter where they played, and the season he ended up coming around, having another great year. And I expect him to do it for the next 10 years, even 13 years with the Dodgers organization. I'm happy that they were able to ink that deal, because this team has to win sooner or later, and they're showing that they're all in, especially with Mookie. I mean, to give somebody 13 years, you're dedicated.
Yeah, he's one of the best defenders in baseball. He's had a fantastic stretch the past few years, including winning an MVP. Last year, he had in June, he had a 217 average. He posted a 772 OPS, but second half was amazing. Even his first month was good. He just had a really bad June, which is when everyone was focusing on baseball, and he turned it around. So 13 years. I was kind of surprised with how big the contracts are going to be for the Dodgers and who they need to lock up, but they did the right move. There's no worry. They gave up Alex Verdugo, Jeter Downs, for Mookie Betts. They have David Price for a couple years. I thought maybe like Mookie Betts leaves in the offseason, and it was kind of okay, like you did get a year out of him, but at least you get David Price back for a couple years. No, they have both those guys for the long haul. They have Betts, Bellinger. They have young guys like Dustin May, Walker Buehler in the rotation. Max Muncy's there. This team, like you said, they have to win soon. They are spending the money. I think they're in, like, I don't give a fuck range right now. They're trying to just spend a lot of money and finally get this World Series. It's been 30 years since they won the last one.
We've seen recent years where they get so far, they get so close. And we saw the Cubs destroy their pitching, destroy Clayton Kershaw. And it'll happen. Pitchers have bad games, but they're almost taking the route of the Yankees, and they're just a powerhouse on offense, or like how the Red Sox were a couple of years ago when they won, just a powerhouse offense. If you're scoring enough runs, you can afford to have two great pitchers and the rest just kind of have an ERA sitting in the mid fours or even high threes, because your bats are almost, I mean, between Bellinger and Mookie Betts alone, that lineup is just it. I don't know. We went on about this earlier in one of our first episodes, and how dangerous this Dodgers team was. And 13 years, it's a good deal. It's a good deal, and it works both ways. I'm excited.
Yeah, it definitely came out of nowhere too. They announced it today, kind of an odd time, but hey, more power to Mookie Betts. And I was kind of surprised to see them throw out all this money, because all we heard before baseball season and like before the season was actually official, oh, these teams are losing money. These owners are losing money. They don't have any money. And the Dodgers are like, okay, we'll just toss $300 million at him. I know it's not right away, but still, the same premise. They didn't have money. Now they do. Now they have the money to throw it at him. Oh, well.
It'd be interesting to see how that contract is structured. It's probably he's got this year, right? Which is only like, what is it? 20 mil, 20-something mil. 27 mil, which he was probably going to get anyways. Maybe not as much. I don't know how it's going to work only playing 60 games. Magic Johnson, does he still own the Dodgers? I don't know who the owners are. There's a couple different owners, I think, with them, but
I think he was a part-time.
Yeah, so life is going to resume. Baseball is going to resume probably next year and be a full season. They'll make their money back. They'll find a way to do it. It is kind of odd that they did this early do it, but also it's strategic, because do you want to let him test free agency? Because what if another team is going to give him the same, maybe 12 years for 370, or and he goes to another contender. So I think it was smart for them to throw it on the table, and I think it's smart for him to just take it, because this is a good organization. He's won a World Series already. I believe that they will win one with him.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't last with the Dodgers for the remainder of his career, like let's say he starts to get a little iffy towards his 35, 36 season, the Dodgers will trade him and they'll eat the contract with ease. It won't matter. $115 million are deferred till after his contract, so they will save a big chunk until after he's done.
Okay, so that is structured out that way. See, I had a feeling there would be something towards the back end while the world's recovering, obviously financially and physically. So
yeah. Some other news we have, I don't know, it's not official, but MLB is wilding out right now. There might be a 16-team playoff for this year. 16 teams this year. It'd be like the NBA. I don't know what would happen, but we'll have to see if that actually happens. I don't know what the deadline is for that, but it's weird how that came out today and the season starts within 24 hours. I don't know. I don't know.
I guess anything isn't official until they make it official, right? So the season just starts now. I mean, they can change the rules, right? I mean, every other league is changing it. I mean, they did it way before the season started, but
Yeah.
that'd be wild. 16, that's basically more than half of the,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be seeing my White Sox in the playoffs for sure. Not to mention, Healy, I don't know if you watched I know they're exhibition games, but man, the White Sox look pretty good, huh?
Yeah, they do look great. I'm definitely gonna watch a large majority of their games.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching games, I just figured out, you know how T-Mobile every year has MLB TV for free?
Yeah.
Sprint merged with T-Mobile, so if you guys do have Sprint, you do get MLB TV for free as well. Just
Oh,
figured it
wow.
out. Even though I can watch whatever game I want besides the Cubs and White Sox. So shout out to MLB TV.
Yeah. Well, Healy, that's heaven for you. I'm definitely, especially that I'm, still working from home. I'm gonna have a lot of ball games on. I'm curious to know what the schedule is gonna be. I don't know if they released the
Mm-hmm.
full schedule yet. A lot of times with Chicago games, they're usually daytime games. But that'd be interesting to see. I'm looking forward, like as we talked about before. The Cubs and Sox are gonna see each other. What is it? 2 more games this season, so.
Yeah, well, they're going to see, 2 series. They actually end off the year facing the White Sox. So imagine both
Oh.
teams in the playoff hunt, final 3 games of the year. The Cubs play a lot of, they're away. Let me check out their home schedule. All their home games so far, besides Sundays, are at night. Interesting.
Okay.
And then
Do
Labor
we know?
Day, it's 3:10. So no day games this year for the Cubs besides Sundays.
I feel like that's gonna be based on they know the bulk of the viewers are gonna have the availability at night to watch the games.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they don't have to worry about the neighborhood. One of the reasons why they didn't do a lot of night games is because of the people living in the apartments. They didn't agree to if there was games at night, people would have trouble sleeping for work the next day, and that's why they play day games.
Mhm.
There's not going to be a lot of noise. There's no fans. There's no one that should be around Wrigley at that time.
Nope.
So they can play those night games. The White Sox, they do look great. I was watching a little bit of the exhibition games. They are exhibition games as always, but they did look great. Their lineup looks amazing. This episode, though, we are going to go over our picks for who we think is going to win the divisions. We're going to go off the normal playoffs. So no 16-team playoff right now. We're going to pick who is our division winners, our wild card teams, our World Series matchup, probably who wins it. And then we are going to go with Cy Young and MVPs. We aren't going to go over rookie of the years because that could be wild. 60-game season, kind of a toss-up. We somewhat know what rookies are going to be on the team, but I don't know. It's just going to be odd. So, division winners. We'll start off with the American League. You have your teams ready?
I do. I'm torn between a few, but I'm ready.
All right.
You want to start or do you want me to start?
You could start.
Okay. So in the American League, so we have 3 divisions, right? We have the East, Central, and the West. So they're keeping the same divisions. In the East, I think it's going to be a long shot. I think they're going to win it by, it's 60 games, so I don't know how many games they can win by. But I'm going to go with the New York Yankees in the East, powerhouse team. They had a great team last year. That's going to be my team out of the East. Out of the Central, I want to go with my White Sox. I believe that it's tough. Minnesota is the clear-cut favorite. I'm gonna go with the White Sox. I'm going on a limb. That's gonna be my underdog team, even though they have a great team. That's gonna be my pick in the Central. In the West, I am gonna stick with the cheating team, the Houston Astros. because at the end of the day, they have a super good ball club, and they will have so many base runners due to hit by pitches. It's going to be a flurry of runs on their offensive side. Healy, let's hear your AL predictions.
All right. So before we get into that, Christian Yelich just hit a home run. So as we were talking about him, he just hit a home run. So
Man.
American League, though, the American League East, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. I feel like they are built for the schedule. They are a weird team. They don't play baseball by the rules. They have their openers. They have 2 or 3 good starters. They have Morton, Snell, and Glasnow, who are all pretty decent. Their lineup, they have so many different pieces that can fit in there for them and play the matchups. They have a lot of depth. I feel like their game management is great. And 60-game stretch, I feel like. The Central, going to go with the Twins. Their lineup, way too good. They had the home run record last year, 1 through 9, very solid. And their pitching staff is also great. They have some good pieces in their bullpen. And then the American League West, you have the Mariners. They aren't great. You have the Rangers. They could be a surprise team this year, adding Corey Kluber. You have the Angels. I still feel like they have something to prove. And then, is that all 4 teams? I don't think so. The A's. The A's. Ooh, the A's could be decent. I don't feel like they've done enough. I'm still going to go with the Astros. They did lose Garrett Cole, but they still have their core. They still have Verlander. Lance McCullers comes back this year. How well will he pitch? He hasn't pitched in over a year. We don't know, but I feel like they are the safe pick for the West. Who are your wild card teams?
Oh, man, my wild card teams. There's 2 wild card teams, if I'm not mistaken, this season.
Yep.
Minnesota. I'm still torn. Minnesota, I feel like is still. I mean, they're the favorite out of the Central. I'm just being. I put my fan hat on when I said the Sox, but Minnesota is definitely going to be the one. It's really tough because you mentioned Tampa's really, really good. They have aces on the mound. They have pretty good bats. I'm torn between them, and I actually like Oakland. Oakland has a lot of sluggers on their team, but I'm going to have to go with Tampa Bay only because that competition between them and the Yankees it's going to be tough. They're going to be neck and neck. It's just tough overall because there's only 60 games. There's not 162 where one team goes and wins 16 in a row and they're the clear cut. You know how it's always been like Yankees and Boston, or the East has always been that division where if you're a good team, tough luck because it doesn't matter because there's always a team that's going to win 100 games. But I'm gonna have to say, Tampa and Minnesota are my 2 picks.
All right, so it seems like we have the same American League teams for both divisions and winners. I'm going to go with the Yankees making the wild card. There's no way I don't see them making the playoffs. I feel like they are a very good team. I just see them being I see them going through like a little slump compared to the Rays, who are built a little better. And then the White Sox. Looking at their team, they have Giolito. They added Dallas Keuchel. Carlos Rodon is back.
Yeah.
Who's the pitcher? Who else is in the rotation?
Well, they don't have Kopech.
Kopech's not there.
Does he have the option to come back, or is he once you opt out, are you done?
I don't know how opt-outs work. I know they have Reynaldo Lopez.
Reynaldo Lopez is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be their 4th. Who's their 5th?
Gio Gonzalez.
Oh, Gio. Yeah, they got Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah,
Gio Gonzalez.
I forgot he was with the team, and I saw a photo the other day. I feel like they have a good rotation there. Bullpen-wise, they're still iffy. Lineup-wise, though, they look solid.
Their offense is, I love it. I love it. I mean, you've caught some of the exhibition games. I watched A little bit. I saw more highlights than anything, and I saw the social media accounts kind of bicker back and forth for Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was hilarious. But I mean, they're not really weak anywhere in the lineup. They
No.
have, I mean, if you look from position players, you have, Yasmani Grandal, which they just signed, great catcher. They have James McCann, who technically is the second catcher. Excuse me, Jose Abreu. They have Yohan Moncada, who is an MVP favorite this year. He's like
Yeah.
top 10. Timmy Anderson, who I love because of the swagger and the game he brings. His defense can be a little iffy, but I mean, offensively, he was great last year. And then we have our sluggers. We have, Big Baby Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, who hit a home run and fell out of his cleats the other day during it was like inter team play.
Mm-hmm.
And then they signed Nomar Mazara, if I'm not mistaken, who also they traded for him, and he is not bad. He wasn't bad with Texas.
No,
he can hit bombs.
He's young,
and then
too.
Yeah, and then Edwin Encarnacion, obviously he's getting up there in age, but I mean, he's another one who at any given moment can turn a game around with one swing of the bat.
Yeah.
So that lineup is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Young talent. Jose Abreu's leading with his he's a veteran. He's been there. He's been doing it for a while. He's always consistent, and he's coming off one of his best years last year.
Yeah.
I think he led the American League in RBIs. I'm more excited for their offense. Their pitching, I like Lucas Giolito. I like Keuchel. They do have Dylan Cease, if I'm not mistaken, in their rotation. I don't know what's going to happen with him. Their 3, 4, and 5s are questionable, but I think if their bats can stay alive at some point where one slacks, there will always be somebody to back them up.
Yeah,
I believe the run support is going to be good, and that's why I'm picking them for the division. Not just saying that as a fan, but if not division, for sure wild card. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited.
I see them making the playoffs as well and sneaking in as a wild card, because as we've mentioned in previous episodes, you're going up against your own division, and you're going up against the opposite league, same division. So the White Sox, they get to face the bad teams like the Royals, the Tigers, Pittsburgh. The Brewers could be bad. They're going to be iffy. And like even the Cubs, I don't think are going to do too well this year compared to like Oakland, who they're going up against the Rangers, A's, Astros. Then you have to play Colorado, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and there's the Giants, and there's one other team in that division. Escaping my mind.
The NL?
Yeah, NL West. Padres.
Did you say the Pods? Yep.
So
Padres aren't a bad team either.
No.
There's not really too many bad teams there. So I actually didn't even think about how that's gonna work out. It's literally Central Division, AL versus NL.
Yeah.
That's how that's gonna work. That's a tough toss up. Especially with the Central, in the NL, the Cubs. I mean, I know you didn't speak too highly of the Cubs, but they're always a dangerous team with who they have. So
yeah, they could get hot.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to the National League team. I'll start off this one. So we'll go over our division winners and wild card winners all in one swing right here.
Okay.
NL East. Marcus Stroman went down, so I'm not going to go with the Mets. We're going to go with the Atlanta Braves. They still have the best team in the East. They have the best, maybe not best pitching staff, because they have the Nats, and also they have the Mets in that division. But Atlanta Braves, they're the solid team in the East. To the Central, we're going to go with the Cincinnati Reds. Winning the NL Central, they added Nick Castellanos. They added Mike Moustakas. They have a better rotation this year. They added a year of experience to that. Their bullpen's pretty decent. They picked up Pedro Strop in the offseason. I feel like they're going to win the Central. And then the NL West, kind of a gimme pick. the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't see any team competing with them. The Diamondbacks maybe, but the Dodgers should blow out. They blew out the division last year. They should blow out the division this year. For the wild card picks, I'm gonna go with. Let's go with the. I'm between two teams, the Mets and the Cardinals, and I feel like the Cardinals are gonna sneak in. Playing those two playing the NL Central and AL Central will help them out. Marcus Stroman going down. They already have Noah Syndergaard out. They have a good lineup, but the Mets, they like the Mets. And then the second team that makes the wild card, I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks. They have a solid team. Zach Gallen, another year added to his experience. I feel like they're going to be a slept-on team this year.
Okay, I like that. I have a lot of the same teams. Out of the East, I'm a huge fan. So I grew up a White Sox fan, and the only other team that was televised in Chicagoland area on TBS was Atlanta. So I always followed Atlanta. I actually followed them probably a little bit more than the White Sox as a kid. So being a fan of Atlanta and what they've done, what they accomplished last year, and they have young talent that's only getting better, I'm going to go with Atlanta out of the East, even though, as you mentioned, they have a tough Mets to go up against, that rotation. They have great bats. And Washington, who just won the World Series, who's, if I'm not mistaken, is favorited out of the East. I'm going to go with Atlanta. The Central's tough. The Central's is the hardest to gamble on, I feel like, between them. Because, you mentioned Cincinnati's really good. And that's, you have St. Louis, who is your wild card pick. The Cubs, you didn't even throw in there. And the Cubs are still, as I've said, are always, you never know what you're going to get, what type of season you're going to get from Chris Bryant or from Rizzo. If you have the Chris Bryant that was MVP years ago, and you have Rizzo, and Yu Darvish is on this year, Yu Darvish had a pretty good year last year. Yeah, he had some off games, but we don't know how, Big Papa Ross is gonna coach this team.
Yep.
But that's the toughest division to pick right now, because even Milwaukee is looking at Milwaukee's team, and Yelich is coming back. And I know we were just talking about him before. I was like, he's an MVP favorite, and I feel like he could be good, but he's having a really horrible start to this exhibition. And you mentioned he just hit a home run, and that's how baseball works. You can go 0 for 30 in baseball and then flip it around, and you can dominate, So in the Central, as tough as it is, I'm still going to go with Cincinnati, with the Reds. And then over to the West, it's going to be the Dodgers. So we have the same. My wild card teams are going to be a little bit different. I feel like the Washington Nationals are going to sneak in as a wild card team. I don't think that they're going to have the World Series hangover, like some teams do end up getting. And then the second team, I'm looking out of the NL Central, because for the same reason that you said the Sox can sneak in because of who they're facing.
Yeah.
I feel like that goes both ways. And I'm torn between St. Louis or the Cubs, but I feel like the Cubs are my second wild card team. They're a sleeper. Don't count them out. Like I said, it all depends on how this rotation is, the bats. If they're on, they have always been proven to be a dangerous team. They had an unfortunate, horrible stretch last year. But I think, with a few good, it's 60 games. Anything can happen. Starters are going to be pitching maybe 10 games each. Kyle Hendricks, if he can pitch lights out like we've seen, he reminds me of a little bit of a Greg Maddux. So if we can get something out of him, then when I say we, I'm talking about the Cubs. If they can get something out of him, and get some of the other starters going, Lester, and I think the biggest factor is what kind of year is Rizzo, Bryant, and Contreras going to have, because those are key guys. When they're on, nobody's going to beat that team.
All right. Ooh, You include the Cubs. I did not. I feel like they are going to be too streaky of a team. I don't feel confident enough in picking them. They're either going to go 20-40 or they're going to go 40-20. There's
20. Yep.
no in between. They are a
Yep.
very streaky team. Maybe that was due to John. Maybe it was due to Joe Madden. I never thought he was a great manager, especially when it came to slumps like that. But we'll just have to wait and see. World Series matchup time.
Oh, man. What do I want to see, or what would I gamble on?
What would you gamble on?
Okay.
Like right now, I got to go Yankees, Dodgers.
Yeah, that's my pick. I could not. So you're saying the Rays are going to come out in the East, but the Yankees will take the series?
Yes.
In the playoffs.
When it comes down to the playoffs, I feel like the Yankees are on another level. Their pitching is going to come up big, and they're going to have the bats to hold them there. I don't feel like they're going to win the division just because I feel like the Rays are built more to maintain a good streak and not fall into like a slump a little bit. I feel like they could catch a few games that the Yankees might not be able to catch.
I agree with that. I do agree. I still think the Yankees are so powerful on the offensive side, and with the addition of Garrett Cole, I guess maybe for a 60-game season versus 162, I guess I can see why you would pick the Rays. But definitely when it comes down to the playoffs, yeah, I don't see. I could see a close series with the Yankees and the Rays, or the Yankees and even the Astros. I feel like I would love to see that in the ALCS. That would be a great matchup, especially for the Yankees to get their revenge. And the Dodgers, I don't have to say anything else. The Dodgers, it's gonna be Dodgers or Atlanta. Atlanta's my second favorite. But I cannot bet against either of those two teams. I would love to see a change of pace. I'd love to see like a White Sox Cubs. Obviously, that'll never happen in our lifetime. White Sox Braves would be kind of a cool matchup, but realistically, is that going to happen? No. I'm saying Yankees Dodgers. I feel like Mookie Betts getting the contract that he got is going to kick it up a notch. He's on a new team. They're going to shine, and I don't see anybody really taking either team in a series in the playoffs.
The only team maybe could have been the Nationals. We saw that last year, but one of the problems I had with the Braves is I feel like their offense is a little worse compared to the Dodgers, but I feel like the Dodgers pitching is unbelievable.
Yeah. From their starters to the bullpen to the closer. Are we predicting World Series winner as well?
Yeah, we could do that.
Should we rock, paper, scissors? This is tough. This is a very tough one. Wow. I think it's time. The Yankees are really good. And I could be wrong. It could go 7 games. But I really like this Dodgers team. I feel like with the addition of Mookie Betts, and they got rid of some solid younger talent. They didn't really lose much, as you said earlier. And obviously they have, the MVP and Cody Bellinger. They still have Justin Turner at third base, I believe, who is probably one of the best, quietest players I've ever seen play. He's always been a slugger. He can bat at 300 every year, and you would never know it. And that's what he's been doing. They have other talent, I'm gonna go with the Dodgers against that very, very, very good Yankees team.
I feel that way as well. And one of the reasons why, like, if this was a couple years ago, I would have picked the Yankees. Yeah. I feel like a couple years ago, the Dodgers were left-handed heavy. It didn't matter if it came to starting pitching or in the lineup. They had lefties galore. And I felt like if you went up against the Yankees, they have so many right-handed bats in their lineup that are just power hitters, they would get
Yep.
rocked.
Every
But
single time.
Rich Hill's no longer with the team. Ryu's no longer with the team. They have Kershaw, who is a lefty. They have Walker Buehler. They have Dustin May. They do have Julio Urias, so he is a lefty right there. But I feel like they are built better, and especially hitting-wise, they can go up against the lefties. They still have Kike Hernandez. They still have Chris Taylor. Mookie Betts is a solid. AJ Pollock is there.
Oh, I forgot about him too.
They are solid 1 through 9, especially with the DH. I feel like they are great.
Yeah. Max Muncy. I mean, they have guys at every position who can hit the long ball. A few of those guys hit for average, clearly. And they sealed what they needed offensively by grabbing Mookie. And as you mentioned, their pitching is, I mean, they have Kershaw, who's historically is good, and he's historically good in the playoffs, except for like game sevens, which I don't get that. And we'll see. I think they're, if they do end up losing, it may be because of their starting pitching.
Yeah.
I don't see their bats like ever like going to, it's almost like I mentioned about the Sox. You have a good bat everywhere in the lineup. When there's everybody's doing bad, there's always going to be that one, right? So, and even you got to give like Chris Taylor at second base. Kike Hernandez has good games. He has really good games. So it'd be interesting to see how many games the Dodgers win in. I would say 6 or 7. But wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 7 games.
Now it's time for the awards. We'll start off with, you want to do MVP and Cy Young, or do you want to do the league? Let's do MVPs.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that.
You want to go first, or should I go?
I can definitely start it up. I can start if you want. So in the AL, he is, I don't know how many times he's won, but he just came off a fresh MVP win. I'm gonna have to go with Mike Trout. He's clearly the best ball player. He has a new coach. We've seen what Madden does when he goes to a new team. Guys step up, they show out. Other players that I've considered, if Aaron Judge plays the whole season and doesn't get hurt, he's a 300 and he can smack. Well, he's not gonna be hitting 40 home. If he hits 40 home runs, somebody needs to test him. But he's just a raw talent. I mean, he hits for average and he slugs them out. But Mike Trout, just overall offensive, defensive. I know that there's Golden Glove awards, but I just overall just excellent baseball player. I would say Mike Trout for sure in the AL. In the NL, this one was tough. We were talking before the podcast started. I was like, last year he got hurt and he was having a hell of a season, was Christian Yelich. The team was doing good. He was smacking bombs left and right. He was batting like a 330. He was stealing bags. And he broke his knee and he was out. And so I was wondering, is he coming back? It's only 60 games. And obviously he's been playing these exhibition games. And I think the stat you had mentioned was he was 2 for his last 23 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And then during this episode, obviously he hit a home run, and that could be all that he needs to boost him. The favorite, I believe, is Ronald Acuna Jr. Love the kid, raw talent, but I'm going to go with Mookie Betts. He just got the contract. I know a lot of guys, when they get a contract, it's hit or miss. We don't know what kind of season they're going to have, what their mindset is. I believe him. He's going to have Cody Bellinger on the team with him, they're going to compete, and they're going to go out and try to one up each other, because that's just how it is in baseball. And I feel like Mookie Betts is going to be the one. And even Bellinger is like right there, because Bellinger can easily be the MVP. But I'm going to go with Mookie Betts for the NL MVP.
I hate that you went with that pick because I am going with Mookie Betts as well. I thought I've seen him. He's been hot in these like spring training games. Had a fantastic year. He's going to get recognized back in LA. They're going to be a fantastic team. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to be great defensively. I feel like Mookie Betts goes to the NL. He wins an MVP in the National League.
Agreed.
We are somewhat similar for this MVP pick. The Los Angeles Angels. Shohei Ohtani is coming back. He's pitching and he's hitting. If he could hit 280, if he hits 15 home runs, if he gets, I don't know how many RBIs you're expecting. Let's just say 40. Gets 40 RBIs, 280, comes up with like an 800, maybe a 900 OPS. Pitches, he gets like at least like a 3.5 ERA, and he has 10 great starts. He strikes out 10 starts. You're looking at here 50, 60 innings maybe, and he strikes out 60, 70 guys. I could see it being Shohei Ohtani. The value is immense right there, especially in a 60-game season. That'd be huge. I've been seeing other people talk about him as well. I feel like he is going to come out hot. He's still throwing 100. He still knows how to hit. With the schedule this year in the DHs and whatnot, they're gonna have him pitch his games. It's gonna be great. For the Cy Young picks, did you have anything to add on?
No, that's a solid pick. I did not expect Ohtani. I did not expect that at all. The fact that he pitches, it makes me. I mean, can we? MVP is just MVP. It's all-round player.
Yeah.
It's weird because there's a Cy Young award too specifically for pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be. I mean, it probably won't happen, but that'd be kind of crazy if he's lights out and he wins both. I wonder what $100 bet would get me on that. But anyways, no, that's a good pick. I was a little thrown off because I thought for sure when you said you were close, I didn't know that you meant Ohtani. It's a good pick. I have nothing bad to say about it. He's a great ball player. He's coming back. The Angels team is going to be interesting to watch. But no, we can definitely go transition over to the Cy Young Awards for the AL and for the NL. Why don't you start this one off?
All right, I'll start off with American League. My initial thought, Lucas Giolito. I changed it up, though. I'm going to go with Charlie Morton. He had a fantastic year last year. He finished third in the Cy Young. I feel like this Rays team is going to play well again. And he's used to playing without fans. So shout out to Tampa Bay. And then the National League, I think it's Walker Buehler's time to shine. He's going to win it this year. He's going to be lights out. The Dodgers, again, especially with like how voters are with win-loss records, and you're only getting 10 starts. The Dodgers are destined to win a lot of games. Walker Buehler's destined to get pretty good ERA. Lights out guy. Those are my two Cy Young picks. I feel like the Cy Young this year could come down to a great team. Just because win-loss records. I know they don't mean anything. We've seen Jacob deGrom the past 2 years win. But sometimes it gets influenced with the voters when it shouldn't. But I don't know.
Those are good picks. I initially wanted to put my fan hat on. I wanted to say Lucas Giolito
as well.
I wouldn't. Yeah, and that's me putting my fan hat on, but not really because he's a great pitcher and he's got bats. He's got bats. Along with that, for the same reason you said Walker Buehler, I'm thinking Garrett Cole because of the fact that he's in New York and he has bats. He's going to get the wins. But I'm going to go with it all depends on how this team turns out. So I'm going to stick with Garrett Cole. I wanted to say Justin Verlander for so many different reasons. The fact that this guy ages like fine wine. it seems like he hasn't lost anything over the years. Detroit, Houston. He doesn't have Garrett Cole. It's going to be all eyes on. I hate to say it, but it's all eyes on Houston right now. As much as everybody hates them, it's all eyes on Houston, and it's all eyes on Verlander. He's going to come out, and he's the type of pitcher where you expect 8 strikeouts a game. You expect him to go at least 6 innings.
Mm-hmm.
With their bats, I expect him to do great. You know what? I'm going to stick with Justin Verlander. That was what I wanted to go with. I'm going to stick with Justin Verlander for multiple reasons. I just gave a few. I'm going to stick with that. And Houston looks good. So I'm going to go with Justin Verlander out of the AL. Sorry, Lucas Giolito, if you ever listen to this. NL Cy Young, Walker Buehler, for the same reasons. The kid, I mean, he has talent. He's very talented. Initially I'm like, well, Jacob deGrom's Jacob deGrom. Strikeout king. The Mets have some bats to give him some run support. He's been great. He's won a couple Cy Youngs already. There's Max Scherzer. There's, Steven Strasburg over in Washington. Clayton
Luis
Kershaw. Luis Castillo. Yeah, Luis Castillo's good. I think they're throwing Yu Darvish up there, which I don't think is really a top pick. It all depends on how he does. Like I said, he had a good year last year, but Walker Buehler, for the same reason, when they look at voting, a lot of times, especially in 60 games, we're probably going to look at ERA, which his ERA is probably going to be good. And how many wins is he going to get? He's going to have the run support. I wouldn't be surprised if this team averages 4.5, 5 runs a game, if not a little bit more. And let him pitch his 5 or 6, 6 innings a game. He'll get his strikeouts. And I think I'm on board with you for that. He has probably the most talented offense that's going to back him up. So definitely going to go with Buehler.
All right. I completely forgot about Luis Castillo.
Castillo's good.
He was up there for me. I think that's a lot of people's sleeper pick this year because the Reds are supposed to be great and he is another year older. He's supposed to be fantastic. But Walker Buehler popped in my mind. I feel like he's going to be solid. So that's our picks for. We aren't going to do Rookie of the Year because there's too many weird things, especially with the service time stuff. Like, we don't know how much that's going to affect games and whatever.
Luis Robert.
Right now, he seems like a good pick. But like guys like Gavin Lux, he's not with the team right now, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. All the other awards we aren't necessarily going to get into, like Reliever of the Year, Hank Aaron. Go with the main. Give us your guys' thoughts on who you think's going to win the World Series, division winners, all of that. You could add our personal Twitters, Instagrams, or you could hit up the social media we have for the podcast. That would probably be the best because we'll get the notifications there and we'll make sure to see them. So let us know your guys' thoughts on that. I'm excited. 24 hours. We got Yankees, Nationals, Max Scherzer versus Garrett Cole, technically World Series matchup. And then we have the Dodgers against the Giants. Unfortunate matchup there. But we get to see the Dodgers in action tomorrow. I think that's it for baseball, though. We did talk about Marcus Stroman tearing his calf, so shout out to
no shout out to that. We actually feel sorry.
No. Hope he gets better soon because the Mets, they were supposed to have a good year.
Yeah.
We can probably move over to the NBA now. NBA games are back. We're 1 week away from that. Speaking of predictions, next week we are going to go over our predictions for who wins the championship. And we're going to go over awards because we found out the awards for the NBA, it's from March. So any of these games being played right now doesn't affect the MVP voting, doesn't affect Defensive Player of the Year, all up until March. So we're going to go over our predictions for that. But games started. I don't know if you saw the Nuggets today. Did you see their starting lineup?
No, I didn't see who was in the starting lineup, but I watched highlights from every quarter, and they look pretty good.
The Nuggets, their starting rotation for this game at point guard, Nikola Jokic. At shooting guard, they had Jeremy Grant. At small forward, they had Bol. At power forward, they had Paul Millsap. And at center, they had Mason Plumlee. They had an average height of probably like 6'10".
Wow. It's an exhibition game. If they're not playing Barton, if they're not playing Jamal Murray, they're in the playoffs. So there's only a few exhibition games, right? Until the season starts next week.
Season starts the 31st.
So first exhibition game. Well, I think the biggest thing is they're going to have a couple of exhibition games. They're going to have an 8-game season to seed, right, for the playoffs. Yeah. I don't see many teams being as close to the playoffs as they are, running a playoff roster.
Mm-hmm.
Why not try it out? I mean, Bol he had like 6 or 7 blocks in this game. He got drug tested after the game because of it.
6 blocks.
It's like, what do they expect? Like 6 blocks is out of the ordinary for someone who's like 12 feet tall. I don't know. So, it was interesting to see that. I did not realize that was their starting lineup either. I thought for sure Bol was at center, but between him and Jokic, they're both over. Well, Bol is what, 7'6",
something like that,
and then Jokic is just about 7 foot, 7'1". Which shout out to Jokic because he lost some weight during all this, and he looks really good. He looks like he's moving up and down the court pretty well. So that's going to be a fun team to watch. I know Denver has always been one of those teams where they probably aren't going to contend for the finals, but they'll make a good push towards through the playoffs.
Yeah, Bol's 7'2". He's not as tall as his dad.
Okay. Still tall.
I don't think there's any injury news, which is good. There were no positive COVID tests this week. The players that are already there.
And Russell Westbrook came back.
Oh, okay.
He was at practice today, I believe I saw, and he threw down a vicious dunk in practice as to let them know, I'm back. And honestly, Houston, the only reason why I ever doubt Houston is because they're such a small team. They don't have a good center. I mean, they have PJ Tucker, which has been working. But I'm ready to see Westbrook make a run there.
So Daryl Morey or whatever, he's with the Rockets, and you know how they've been running that small lineup. Someone added him today, and it was like when Daryl Morey sees this lineup for the Nuggets, and he like responded with, he quote tweeted it with an image of, I can't remember what book it's from or whatever, but it's like a giant, and he's like tied down, and I was like, it was hilarious to see. Or I think the original tweet was like the anxiety Daryl Morey gets when he sees the lineup.
That's hilarious. Just talking about the Nuggets lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a weird lineup. But I mean, we'll see if they continue to do that going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to. I mean, the game's always changing, right? I mean, can't be surprised anymore. Jokic at point guard, but Jokic, I feel like, facilitates the game most of the time. Anyways, he doesn't generally bring the ball up the court. It's usually going to be, Jamal Murray or any of their other 15 guards that they have. And then, Jokic does swing out either for a pick and pop or pick and roll. So we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited for basketball. It's going right into the playoffs pretty much. I think tomorrow we're going to see some more exhibition games. I think we're seeing the Pelicans tomorrow. I could be wrong. I don't know the exact schedule. They're pickup games practically. I like that there is some stadium noise. I think I was hearing music playing throughout the game, which is kind of okay. So we'll see. Like you said, no injuries, which is good, and nobody tests positive for COVID. It sounds like um, nobody's ordering DoorDash. So
Oh yeah, no more DoorDash. The Pelicans played today. The teams that play Thursday, if anyone is interested: San Antonio against Milwaukee. You got Portland against Indiana. The Lakers against Dallas. Lakers are probably going to be must watch. It's on NBA TV, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then you have Phoenix and Utah. So decent games. Like I said, games start up next week. The podcast from here on out is going to be talking about live sports. We've been waiting a long time. I've been waiting for baseball. Oh, man, next week, I'm probably going to be talking a lot about baseball. I'm going to watch so many games. It's going to be nuts. I'm going to have like 3 games on at a time.
I'm not even going to use the internet for stats anymore. I'm just going to text you. I'm just going to text you. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
So, but with the return of sports, we may or may not integrate my daily fantasy picks like I normally do. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Me and Healy have to discuss. That was something we always did with the NFL and with the NBA. I never really did with MLB, even though I've scored pretty high in MLB historically. So maybe we can throw that in there. But I'm just looking forward to the next is going to be football, and that's obviously there's no news other than football players are finally being vocal about their safety. They don't know what's going on, which I would feel the same way. We're going to hear more news about it soon. That's more to talk about for us, but yeah, I think that wraps it up. There's no other news. Baseball again starts tomorrow. Everybody tune in. I'm going to be locked in. Summer can still be good. Summer 2020 can still be a good one.
Yeah. And make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast, download, follow us on social media. You can follow us at SR Only Pod. Follow Goose at
I'm iGoose with 4 O's as always. Don't ask why. Just don't ask.
You can follow myself at the Healy6 on Twitter and Instagram, on YouTube, Twitch, all that other stuff. Just Healy6. So we will see you guys next week with live sports and our NBA predictions.